You know what the world needs? Rhetorical question. It needs another podcast. Definitely not enough of those in the world, where two people get together, maybe more people at a time, get together and talk about generative AI. That's the thought I had, and welcome to the first episode of the Fall Podcast. Work in progress name. Maybe we'll think of another one, a cooler one. But as I was putting this first episode together, the first person that came to mind is someone who got me interested in generative media and looking at it seriously as a professional content creator, filmmaker, and that is none other than Tim Simmons of Theoretically Media, which I'm sure you've heard of. His YouTube channel, he covers all the latest and greatest video models, has great work, and always has the earliest access to everything. Well deserved, I'm a little jealous, but we talk about our backgrounds in film, we talk a little bit of the behind the scenes of his new film made in Seedance 2.5, and we talk a little bit about both of our personal philosophies when it comes to AI filmmaking and this kind of AI revolution in general. So I hope you enjoy this first episode, and let's get started.
Wow, look at you dripped out in all of your OpenAI swag. How did you get OpenAI swag?
Like, I bought it.
Oh, okay.
That was the joke. Yeah, I put it out there. I was like, thanks so much for sending me all the gear. Even though I paid for it, you technically sent it to me. I appreciate that. No.
I will say Google has some very nice hoodies, and Adobe's hoodie is actually probably one of my favorite like swag hoodies that I've gotten.
Fall has like their conference coming up, and I was like, you need to
up your game.
Well, I was like, make people pay for it and make it good, because otherwise I got like, a graveyard of like 100 bad ones. I was like, I'll never wear these. Right.
So this is going to be the show. It's just us talking about like what swag is good.
I have a couple guided things. I think this is a good start though. I think in the AI space, more people probably know you than me.
Oh, yeah.
But as we're like kind of getting started here, I'd love to talk about our backgrounds as it comes to filmmaking. I came up in New York City filming commercials and music videos, and I started at the tail end of film. Shot film, learned how to shoot film, and then digital happened. And then we saw roles like film loaders and all this film related activity, labs, people working at film labs. Like they were like, that was really important. And it stayed that for a while, but I lived the film to digital transition, and it was like, that's something I still remember like really personally.
Yeah, I think there were a couple of transition points. Same with you that I began not professionally with film, but I think I was in that like last class of film students that like cut on film, like shot 16 and like use the flatbed to like actually cut 16, tape it together. It sucked. I hated it. But I think that the two, and then of course like we moved in from there to tape, and then from tape to just like straight digital. I do think that they're coming up from that era. And then, of course, before that, like growing up as a kid, running around with, a video camera and like literally doing crash edit, on two VHS decks, like record. Play. Like, I mean, so I do think that part of all of that stuff I'm actually grateful for, because I think that it taught me a lot of like conservation of shooting and, how to shoot for the edit, just a lot of like pre-planning stuff that I feel that a lot of times like these days when you're just running around shooting with your phone, like I don't know, tends to be a little more wasteful, I think. So I don't know, wasteful is a harsh term, but so there was that. And then I think we both came up through the era of like motion graphics and all of that. So the birth of motion graphics, we all got to see, we both got to see sort of like that whole thing take off, like After Effects become a real thing. So yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought that you brought up there, is that like, now with, digital video and digital photos, certainly, right? Like the thought of pre-digital of like, I'm going to just send my friend a photo of any old thing I'm thinking about at any time of the day. Like that has led to like there being so much content and so much media when you're producing that like we look at some of the AI tools that are being pitched to me now. I'm sure you've seen them for AI editing, is like, we have so much footage. How could a human ever sort through all of this? So it's like one of the things I've seen that's like, it's sort of like, if we were shooting film still, you wouldn't need AI to organize all your footage because you can't shoot that much. But because of the digital, revolution, like you go out there with like 5 digital cameras and you're just filming all day. It's like, how are we supposed to deal with this? So it's sort of like an answer almost to what happened with digital video. It became so plentiful that it's like, yeah, maybe we do need systems to help organize
curate,
this.
Organize and curate. I mean, I do think that that's true. I mean, like you and I mean, like if you go back to, how many photos of your childhood have you seen? Like, you know what I mean? Like they probably fit into a photo book or two.
Yeah,
Whereas like,
yeah.
you know, my kids, like it's like terabytes of photos and videos and everything. I'm never going to go through all of that. So, I mean, that is one of the things that like something like a cloud service like Google Photos ends up doing is like, you know, going through all of that, packaging it all up and presenting you with stuff. You know, that of course is on the personal side, you know, on a shoot or, you know, a creative work. I always kind of rail against the machine doing too much of your selects and too much of your edit. I don't know about you, but I've never seen an AI edit that has impressed me as of yet. So
I tried with hyperframes for a while, like even like the most like procedural, linear, straightforward like YouTube content. You know, it's like I read the script and I also co-wrote the script with, you know,
Right.
GPT or Claude, so it's like it kind of knows. And I gave it to it, and HeyGen people have told me that like some of their creators can really get it to do that, but it's like just picking the right clips, and it's like very linear reads. It still wasn't like quite there. I could see it for that use case happening, but yeah, I haven't seen any like magic bullet editing yet. But it's I don't know, it's just a thought that never crossed my mind before. Is that like, you know, digital media being so easy to create and so bountiful that it's like, oh, now we, you know, having systems to help curate and manage it is sort of helpful. And like, yeah, at like a consumer level, which is, you know, completely fine to go to, is like, you know, on the iPhone, it's like my kids have iPads and they take photos and they mildly enjoy the little slideshows that Apple will like programmatically create that AI. I don't know, but it's like yeah, that's valuable because like yeah, there's like so many photos. It's kind of nice that it's like, oh, it's like Facebook reminders. Have you seen, or like have you seen that? Like if you're on Facebook, it's like sometimes those are great. It's like, oh, cool. You know, that happened a year ago. Cool. You know, like.
Just on the programmatic AI editing side of things, I think that, you know, if you're like a talking head creator, like if you're somebody that's just like just walking around with your phone and like da 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 and then like throwing it in, sure. I mean, it works for that. I guess I should say I've not seen anything on the professional side that's wowed me, and yeah, kids as well. It's like, you know, it's like they're always. I mean, I don't know how they. My kids actually do like to manually edit on their phones, like via CapCut.
Mine too, CapCut.
Yeah,
Yep.
I cannot. I mean, that's where I show my age. It's like I cannot edit on a phone. Like, I mean, it just drives me absolutely insane. So
I'm the same when I'm like I'm at a conference and I'm like I should be making content and I'm like I gotta wait till to go back to the hotel and then the Wi-Fi is awful. But I was like, you know, I need to be on Premiere, Resolve, Final Cut, like something like that. But yeah, my kids are just native cap cutters. This is not sponsored by cap.
no, not at all. Clearly not. Yeah,
but it's just the market's just there. They got that market for sure.
I will say, I don't know if I told you this. I will say that I was doing a thing with CapCut a while back. I think it might have been a Seedance thing where I needed to generate Seedance on CapCut, so I was playing around with it. It's not a bad editor. Actually, I think it's pretty. The desktop version was pretty good, in fact. But my kids walked up and like saw my screen. They were like, "What's wrong with your CapCut? It's giving me anxiety." It's like, well, this is what a real editor is. This is not mobile. This is when you have a preview screen and you have a source monitor.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, this does kind of speak to the transition that's sort of happening with some software. Like I think about, you know, CapCut being sort of like a good entry level is the wrong word, but like a simple mobile first editor is like how I experienced it for the first time. And then you think about something like Canva versus Photoshop and InDesign and Illustrator, right? And it being simple. And like in the beginning, it's sort of like, oh, it's like consumer. It's like so basic. But as, you know, I think as software is like combining with AI and more things are starting to be automated, that it's like, it is those like kind of simple human interfaces that are starting to like win. And you see, I don't want to specifically name companies. There's only so many in this space, but it's like, you know, like, it's like, oh no, wait a minute. That was a great approach. And people really like these like web first, you know, editors and these simpler apps. So, you know, it's interesting to watch it. Like for me, I'm an old head. I'm like, yeah, I just want to be in my NLE, like double monitored out with my like dedicated color surface. You know what I mean? You know, like with the wheels and whatnot. But it's like, yeah, there's there's more ways to do it.
You know, because we have like CLIs and MCPs now too, like that weird bridge between the simplified UI, yet, you know, all of the power underneath it, that's probably pretty accessible at some point or another as well. Like, I mean, I think that if you know what you're doing, okay, so a great example is Comfy. Like, Comfy is something where I know what I want. I know all of the things. I don't know, comfy idiot, comfy caveman is what I like to call myself. Like, so, you know, it's like, I know all of the tools, but it's like, where do I hook this one to? VAE, which one do I hook this one to? Clip, like, you know, so it's always a matter, and like, where do I right click in order to get the node? All of that stuff. So it's a lot of the UI stuff that kind of drives me insane and Comfy. But now, you know, I can literally just sit in Claude and just go like, bring me up like a Minimax node and then bring that into this upscale node. And I want to have like this LoRa like kicking in, and then it'll just handle that for me. So I think that there is, we're entering this weird place where interface doesn't matter anymore. It's your knowledge of what you need to be able, or what you need to accomplish.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm rediscovering working with a computer and what that means, like every day. And so we're both like at this point now, like pretty deep into AI. Like it's being used, we're using it. But I'm interested when you first, you know, had like the aha moment, you know, because you're coming from like traditional media, and you know, when was the first time that you saw AI and were like, wow, okay, this is like probably going to be a meaningful part of production? Because it took me a while. Was it an LLM? Was it an image model? Like, what was the first thing that you were like started to take it seriously from like a production point of view?
I think probably around. So I'd been messing around with it in I tried AI for the first time in 2022, where I was, you know, a shady guy with a trench coat in a back alley was like, hey, you want to try AI? And I was like, yeah, how much? He was like, first one's free. So I started my channel, initially as a way, funny enough, to get away from video and film and you know, Photoshop and all of that stuff, like Premiere, and mostly it was like it was actually all the guitars. It initially began as just like a straight music tutorial-ish, technology-based software called Ableton, which I think is great for guitar players, known more as electronic, but whatever. So I started the channel, you know, again, with that focus. In the background, I'm playing around with like Midjourney version 3, I want to say. And like version 3 was cool, very artsy, very weird, you know, kind of like still very paintery kind of stuff. And around, I guess it was around October of 2022. So weirdly, I come into it from music, despite all of my film background.
Really? What's the bridge with music? How do you go for Ableton and like Ableton and Midjourney? Was that the combo? Like, how did you come from music?
Yeah, so Stable Diffusion Audio came out, Diffusion Audio came out, Rift Diffusion came out. And so I did a little tutorial on that, because I'm already kind of playing around with this stuff. So I did a little tutorial on, I don't have one of my, like the beat guys, like the guy up here. On how you could generate just like that first era of like AI audio or AI music was pretty, like it sounded like a possessed AM radio, like, you know, like broadcasting from hell, like jazz from hell. But it was kind of interesting and cool to take that audio, bring it into something like Ableton, chop it up, and then be able to kind of use it as samples basically, and then put beats underneath it. So I did that video, and it did really pretty well. And then I did, you know, around that time I started kind of looking out at where we were in October, November of 2022, and just realizing like, oh, 2023 is going to be like the tidal wave's coming. Like, this is where it's starting. And like, that's actually pre-AI video too. That's still like, that's still just image. So I started just kind of like doing more experimenting and more public experimenting. I started just kind of like posting results and playing around with it more, kind of doing like Ken Burns style, you know, parallax stuff with, I think Midjourney version 4 came out around that time. So then like we started moving into the era of like cinematic visuals. And then, it was only a couple of months after that Runway Gen 1 came out. And I think I had the first video on YouTube about Gen 1.
So like, was it like really like experimental at this phase? It like, because it wasn't like, it's like, oh, well, that's going in the Louvre, that's going on TV, right? So like it starts off like really just like kind of with playing with it. But like, so like, I guess let's continue. But that's a good note that it's like this like experimental, because like I didn't get into it until I was like, I was very hesitant until I was like, okay, we could publish that. But you've been doing this from like the OG from like the beginning, not MJ1. You said 2 or 3 or something like that.
It was like 2, 3. I think is when I came. Like 1 and 2 came. Those came out very quickly. It wasn't like the iteration times that they have these days. They jumped version numbers very quickly back then. And then a lot of this stuff too, because it was like there weren't very many of us. Like I mean, globally, like there was it was still our little secret. So there was only like really a handful of us. And most of the access was free too, because we were basically beta testing for all like early Pika, so it was all done in Discord channels, and like they would just kind of give you, there wasn't even credits. It was just generate in a Discord channel. And like all of them were like postage, it was like 360 resolution and real 3 or 4 second videos. I remember when we first got 5-second videos, it was like, oh my God, 5-second videos. This is insane. So yeah, it was a wild time. But I mean, even then, even at its like nascent stage there, you could see that, 360 video was going to become 640, was going to be 720, was going to be 1080, and like just like Moore's law, like it's just like it's going to come fast, and it actually came faster than I expected it to. Like when I first saw Seedance 2.0, I was like, this is here much quicker than I expected it to be.
Well, it's incredible to be that early, on the take with it. Starting experimenting, that makes sense. Like talk to Fall, like a lot of people that Fall are, of course, like we're like really really early on like early stable diffusions, and like. From my side, I came from like immediately like my last kind of journey was in game development, and that's a spicy field when it comes to AI. Yeah. It was it's still very binary of like, so I was working with a certain company and they were just like, do not say the word AI. The word doesn't exist. You don't say it. We don't say it. The industry doesn't say it.
The evil vowels. Those vowels are evil.
Literally. So like that's where I was coming from not even a year ago from today. So it was like I didn't touch it. I didn't even think it was like I'm not opening this. Like I've heard the word Midjourney. I've heard it, but like for me, like it became real, I guess, when like a major company started to talk about it more. And I guess I missed Nano Banana 1 or something like that.
Did
but when
you
Google,
miss it though? You didn't really miss it. It was the 1 was a little bit of a mess. Like so.
Oh, okay. So, I didn't miss much.
Yeah,
but like,
pre-pro, you did not miss much. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That makes me feel better. But Nano Banana Pro came out.
Yes.
Which I was like, what is a Nano Banana? Like, why would you? And I've heard the lore of why it's called that now. And then they had VO. I think it was 3. So this was not that long ago. But I was like, those images just look like real people. I was like, what? Like, because I'm just picturing like Will Smith Spaghetti and MJ early stuff and early Stable Diffusion. It's just like kind of like abstract weird digital art, right? Which is great in its own way. Like I used to work in New York City and like the art scene, and there's a lot of that, and I was like, that's great, but it was that era, which was like less than a year ago. I feel like I was like, oh wow, like I was like, the images are looking real and the videos looking real, and I was like, why aren't more of my like professional people talking about this? It was still seen as like very like you don't touch it, but it was around then for me that I was like, okay, wow, this is looking really good for like a certain level of production. Like and I had no idea, like you've seen the progression. I had no idea how fast it would get better. So that's when I got onto it. And this kind of brings me to like the film you just put out. Like this is like basically state of the art, cutting edge. Like this video is coming out hopefully very, very soon. And you produced a film with Seedance 2.5. And the standout thing, right? I mean, other than the images, now it's just like, the images are great, of course, the cinematography is great, but it's like the performances are just like getting better. So I'd love to hear about what you're able to share about making that, and just kind of like reflecting on like how far it's come and how quickly. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that was the test with this one. That's what each time that I make one of these and get kind of like early access to start poking around with it. Yeah, there's a handful of tests that I'll sort of run it through just to see what's interesting about it. And in this case, with those 30-second shots, it was like what I really wanted to test is like, can this hold a scene? Can this hold, a performance, an actor performance, AI actor performance? And yeah, I mean Seedance, I think in a lot of the video generators right now are really great at doing eye candy stuff. So swooping camera through kung fu scene, all of that stuff, which is great. That's a lot of fun. And I enjoy watching. I love the raid as much as the next guy, or any kind of any kind of like super bang up action Jackie Chan to whatever. But like there, like the bread and butter of most movies and narrative filmmaking are two people talking. Like, you know what I mean? That's what a story is people in conflict. So I wanted to see, again, how does this, how would the model handle that? And surprisingly very well. And again, I think that is one of those things. Most people are seeing that 32nd generation and either thinking one of two things, either thinking like, I'm going to make a 30-second, like 10-shot short in, within that, or like 3 seconds, I guess, a pop, or I'm going to do one long 30-second generation. Whereas like, the way that I was able to do this, I think this was 15 generations in total that I ended up cutting down. So to become like a 3-minute short, basically, was not, knock the whole scene out in one chunk, but instead take segments of it and generate 30 seconds at a time, and then iterating multiple versions of them. And then through that, I think for each one, there was probably like 3 generations. And then from each like beat, you can basically find like a little like Lego chunk that you could pop in. So I mean, that's at the end of the day, the big thing is always still like you got to edit. You know what I mean? Like you generate and then you go through and you edit. This AI video, in my opinion, as it currently stands, is really an editor's medium more than anything.
Yeah, you'd said that earlier. Yeah, and unfortunately, editing is one of the things I just do not enjoy. Like,
oh, really?
Like as much as I have like a filmmaking background, like when I worked in film, I just gravitated towards short form. Like I wanted the content to come out that I was working on, and movies have a very elongated thing, like release schedule, and sometimes they don't come out. And I was like, whoa, I can't. I was like, I loved short form in music videos and commercials, so like kind of like hyper fast editing and like that sort of like short form media is kind of like my side of things versus like coming from features. But I agree, yeah, it's like not anyone, but like it's certainly getting easier to generate compelling visuals, right? But like you still have to edit it and present it. And from a technical point of view, you may have mentioned this in your video when you were producing that film. Was it ref to video? Was it start frames? Like, and how did you get to the cover? Oh, it was both?
Yeah. It was, I've been leaning more and more towards Gossip Goblin. I don't know if you're familiar with Gossip Goblin. Like that, I know in his workflow, he does first frame image to video for all of it, which is why he's able to get the look that he has and is consistent as it is. And he probably does some tricks with like reframing his initial first frame of his first frame image, so that you can kind of get like these off kilter, like framings. So that's something that I've been thinking a lot more about lately. It's harder. Like it's like you've got to. It's like the old school way of doing it. Old school. All of 2 years ago, like where you literally were sort of storyboarding everything out first and then animating after that. The Omni models are getting really, really, really good. But at the same time, I kind of feel like they're also making this a little bit lazy, like of just like popping like 2 characters in a location and just like prompting in what's happening and maybe even calling out specific times, but you're not really, because like most of the models at this point, they'll look at your prompt and then they'll be a little fuzzy with it. It's like, I know what to do here. Like I'm gonna kind of override you to make this work. And a lot of times they're right, like, but I'm kind of not getting comfortable with that a little bit as well, where I kind of want to wrest control back. So it may take a little more time, but I think it's worth it. That said, for this one, I did utilize a lot of like Omni referencing, only because I wanted to get it done very quickly. I think total production time on this was like 6 hours. Like it came together super quick. But just knowing the tricks, because there were points in time where I'm like, well, this shot isn't working, or this line was flubbed, or like I wanted to readjust something. So I could go through and like kind of patch it in by taking a screenshot from something else and then just running that as image to video, and just kind of like using them as like, I call them like software patches. Like it's just patching in a shot. So yeah, it was. I keep saying I want to do it more, but and only use first frame image to video, but at the same time, speed. Sometimes, you just kind of have to do it. So
That's so funny. Yeah, that distinguishing, you'd have to be in AI filmmaking right now to even like have an opinion on image versus ref. But Ko, who we both know from Martini, I remember speaking with him early on. It's like we were calling it like artisanal AI filmmaking is like the first frame only, because it's like I'm gonna go handcraft, right? So this is gonna make some people very angry to hear that language at all. But like essentially handcraft each frame, because like otherwise you could surely just add a couple image references and be like, you make the movie. Right?
I agree. I mean, I totally agree with what Ko's saying. I mean, like, what's one of the things that I like about Martini and his approach with it is that, like, he has that step into set feature over there, which is kind of Gaussian splat. You kind of move it around, and like, of course, Ko is a DP because he's got all of the DP stuff on the side, like changing your focal lengths and all of that stuff. And like, it's funny because like I love that feature, but there are times when I will jump into a step into set and then like almost like now I got to think about where I want to put my camera, like in this Gaussian splat, like I mean it's the same thing that that's the challenge of any DP or anyone that's picking up a camera is like, where are you going to put your camera? What's the most interesting place to film this shot? And like, I mean like, but that's the job too. Like sometimes we forget that. It's like, it's on the AI side at least. Like, no. Just because the machine can do it for you does not mean it should.
Yeah, I mean that's like the eternal battle to figure out. For me, I've been going like full like slop cannon approach a little bit just to see it. It's like really just like how fast sounds wrong, but it's like how quickly can I produce this and have it still be right and acceptable? And that it's a fine line surely, and it depends on what kind of content you're making. But like just thinking from like the DP side of things, which was like my previous life, and even in Unreal Engine in 3D world, it's like you have to light every shot. There's no just lighting. Whereas like in AI, it's like the default lighting is always there, and it's always like I was like in 3D to get to like some of the worst lighting setups that AI could produce would still be extremely difficult. It'd be very hard to make it look that real, have the lighting be that motivated and cinematic at the same time, because it's trained on like cinematic lighting. It just instantly does cinematic lighting that like I haven't thought about lighting for AI like in months, which is crazy to say for me, because like in real life, like I'm lighting myself today in real life. In 3D, that's just nothing until you put lights on. It's all lighting and lighting tech and knowing how many lights you need, a budget, But with AI, it's like I almost never say. I'm just like it's nighttime, or like the sun's on your face, or it's side lit, or it's
magic
shadowy.
Hour.
It's like very hand wavy lighting, but it's like, these are the questions as creatives we have to think about. It's like what's important to us, and what do we automate? And I think like coming from like being a DP is like now I'm more of a director, right? It's like I'm trying to make the whole film, and like people don't comment about the lighting in the comments. They're like, this story makes no sense, and, the acting is bad. It's like all of a sudden that's what they care about, and so then I'm focused more on those things, and then for social it's like, is the hook good and whatnot. So technology changes, priorities change, and there's a lot of new ways to approach this.
I think the important part is always bashing up the models a little bit and finding your way in and creating a unique look for yourself. Because I think that, again, like it's been said many times, and any critic of AI will point to it as well, is that it is the likely predictor. It is the law of averages. It is basically a giant machine that is trained on all the things. So when you tell it to do a thing, it will do the most logical version of it. So as that happens and everyone has access to the same state-of-the-art models, everything will begin to homogenize into like this like bland look, the Marvel problem, if you will, like where it was just everything looks like a Marvel movie now. So in order to stand out, you're going to have to be able to break that average. You're going to have to break the machine, have the machine producing for you, but still break the machine. You know what I mean? And to get a janky, weird, strange, unexpected output out of it. And that's going to be the guys that end up blowing up, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think that's like where Midjourney is still very, very strong. It's like Midjourney can just be weird in an incredibly like nice looking way. So to kind of wrap this up, I wanted to end by asking, If AI gets turns out to be a bubble and just goes away, and we have to do something else, or AI gets so good that they don't need us anymore. They don't need hosts. They don't need creators. Sort of a joke, of course, but what would you want to be doing? Like, what would your passion be right now?
I mean, I'd still be making videos. Like that's what I do. Like, so it's what I did before all of this happened. It's what I'll be doing after. Like, it's just, I'm just going to keep making stuff. I sometimes I'm probably very frustrating to be around if you're not making stuff with me, because that's, in the back of my head, it's always like, I'm just making stuff. You know what I mean? So, making stuff and putting it out. That's what I do. Like, I can't not.
So that wraps it up for the very first episode of For Now, the Fall podcast. And thank you so much to Tim for coming on and being our first guest. I must say it's refreshing to talk with Tim. I guess not surprising that he has such a great attitude and outlook on this. I find that when put in the room in a group of creatives, sometimes I can take the side of the pessimist or of, looking for issues, in the current situation. I don't know. That's just sort of my personality sometimes, and I think that came out here and asking, what if AI replaces us? It's a thought that I think a lot of us have had and may have again in the next couple months to years. But his answer is to just keep creating. I think that's the only answer. What else can we do? Some other things that were interesting that I want to just kind of double click, as they say on the podcasts. There's a couple points here. One is that AI filmmaking really is starting to favor editors and directors. Like generating lots of footage, I can do that. The story, the script, and the editing, and the music, and the sound, and the pacing, those aren't the skills I developed, along the way. And so I think we're seeing that come true. And the creators that really have a vision of the whole pipeline from director to edit, that is really where the AI creators who are doing extremely well right now, like Gossip Goblin, etc. We're seeing that I believe that is true. Another thing that came up was a concept I've wanted to make a video about that's sort of hilarious. You have to be in AI filmmaking and consider AI filmmaking a craft to even entertain the concept of artisanal AI filmmaking, where we're going to generate by hand, or at least we'll say individually, and verify each starting frame for the entire film. No Omni mode, right? Now, I just made a video on the Fall YouTube channel. Go check it out, please, on Minimax H3, where I made a music video completely the lazy way. I wanted to get it done fast. I also wanted to test the model's Omni mode, because that's where you give a lot of the responsibility of the filmmaking, the framing, everything to the AI video model, and that's what we were testing. We were there to test how good is the Omni model, and it turns out it's pretty good. It came out with some great shots. Would I have hand-generated all of those shots and done a better job? I'm not sure. Well, maybe we'll have to do that test in the future. But anyway, that wraps it up for our first episode. Hope everyone enjoyed it. Let me know if there's any guests that you're interested in talking to, and I'll try to get them on. Until next time, thanks for listening.